Alright, Year 11s, and welcome to your 5th video. We're going to be looking at euthanasia and other ways that people request help to die. This video contains lots of keywords and only keywords, but you might wish to write them in your own way so that way you can show yourself that you've understood them properly. On we go. So the first term is euthanasia. Now this refers to helping someone to die when they are terminally ill, and the word terminally means it cannot be cured. Now they could be suffering from painful disease, or there might have been a situation that they cannot recover from. Now this is just a general key term, and the next part of the video will be looking at different types of euthanasia and helping people to die. Now, where euthanasia is a painless killing of someone that is suffering, assisted suicide isn't where you kill them, but rather you give them the means so that way they can take their own life. So euthanasia might involve something like an injection, what you administer to the person that's suffering, but assisted suicide is where you give them what they need and they take it. For instance, if you give them a drink with a solution that could end their life, with a straw in it, and they take the drink and they drink it themselves, that's assisted suicide. They've been given the help to end their own lives, and it's really crucial that you are clear about the difference there. Now back onto euthanasia. Voluntary euthanasia is when a person has asked you to end their life for them. So they've given their consent for the doctor to maybe administer a lethal dose of something that will cause them to die. The word voluntary means that they have volunteered themselves to do it. They are happy for their life to end. Now, non-voluntary euthanasia is the opposite. It's when the person cannot ask for help to end their life. Now, this could be that they're in a coma, they're suffering from brain damage, or so on. But you have to have a good reason for thinking that they would want you to help them to end their life. Now, generally speaking, this might go to court, either the patient's family or the doctors, and they've got to seek permission and prove that the patient, cannot recover and it's in their best interest that their life is terminated. Now, we've looked at non-voluntary and voluntary euthanasia, and we've also looked at the difference between euthanasia and assisted suicide. Now, when it comes to euthanasia, in particular voluntary euthanasia, we can break it down into active euthanasia or passive. Now, active euthanasia is where you, the person, will inject the patient. So you might give them a large dose of sedatives or something, or administer something that's going to cause them to end their life. It's the active process of doing it. You are doing something that's going to cause them to die. Now, passive euthanasia refers to helping someone to die, but instead of you actually giving them something, and what you're doing is you're just withholding or withdrawing treatment, and by doing so, that's going to end the person's life. They could be kept alive, but you are choosing to stop what it is that's keeping them alive, causing them to die. Now, this also includes things like switching off life support. An interesting side note here is that in Israel, where euthanasia is completely legal, active and passive, withdrawing life support is a very tricky issue, because doctors are scared that if you switch off the machine, you're actively withdrawing it, and therefore they would still see that as wrong. But what they've done in Israel is they've developed life support machines that work on a timer system, and in order to keep it going, the doctor has to reset it so that way it doesn't run out. So if you want to end the process, you as a doctor or as family don't have to do anything. You can just leave the machine to go and it will just stop, eventually allowing the patient to pass away. Now, we've been looking at euthanasia and assisted suicide and the various forms that these things take. But there is one thing that goes against it, one alternate view and another solution that in particular people that are against euthanasia would support, and that's the hospice movement. Now, it was started by a Christian who was against euthanasia, who was against any way of sort of causing someone to die, whether you can justify it or not. And so hospices are a place where someone that is terminally ill can go, and they'll be looked after and they'll be treated with dignity, so that way they can end their final days with some form of comfort. So they'll be medicated, they'll be trained professionals and so on. And what that does is it increases their quality of life, because someone that is terminally ill might not have so much quality of life left. A lot of people that are against euthanasia will say that this is the best possible alternative, and actually, because we can provide this level of care for people that are dying, we don't need to consider euthanasia. Now, finally, your checklist. What I need you to do is make sure that you know the different types of euthanasia: active, passive, voluntary, non-voluntary. You also need to know what assisted suicide is and why it's different to euthanasia. So feel free to go back and listen to what I've said. And also come well aware of the fact that there is an alternative in the hospice movement. So regardless of whether you agree or disagree with euthanasia, there is an active alternative there for people. Now, in the lesson, you're going to be exploring your own views and the different views around euthanasia. Even if you're not sure where you lie, you'll be able to see what different people might think. We'll then look at the religious views, but some of these might not surprise you at this stage, having looked at things like abortion and sanctity of life. You've probably got a fair idea about what, let's say, a Catholic or a Muslim might say. If you want to have a go at guessing, by all means do. If you're unsure about anything in this video, please rewatch it, check with a friend, and if you're still not sure, come see me. I'll see you soon.